Oh, that's not what I wanted. Hold on, just kidding. What the fuck? It was like all over the. Oh, I know what happened. Just kidding. Hold on.
You're doing great.
There we go!
There's no one even watching yet.
I know.
Look, there we are.
Make sure, do we have sound? Yeah, it looks like we have sound.
Hold on, let me listen.
Do we have sound? Yeah, it looks like we have
I
sound.
hear you. Hold on, let me
Excellent.
listen. Yeah, we got sound.
Ah, we did it. Yeah,
We are so
Dane.
sorry.
Melanie hooked me up with a super cool Sir Lavender loading screen. I'm obsessed with it just a little bit.
Hmm. As you should be.
What am I looking for? I don't even know anymore.
We're live, honey.
I
We're
know,
in.
I know, we're here. It seems weird because I'm not a very tech savvy person. So, welcome to tea time. This is my first time ever running a stream. Normally, I am the person that sits in the back. I'm the idea guy, not the tech guy. So, I'm just thankful that I had Kara and Dane with me for this experience. I'm glad I didn't do super bad in front of Dane because he's our tech guy, and we made it look somewhat good. So I'm Bobby, your host for today, and I am with Kara, the DM, our dungeon mother of Dion Rising, that we have every Monday. How are you today?
Fabulous. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing super good. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking my favorite. It is a lemon ginger tea with just a
Ooh.
touch of honey.
Oh, lovely. I have
Mm-hmm.
a lovely cinnamon sunset, is what it's called, and then I've got some local cinnamon honey inside of it.
Spicy. Spicy,
Yes.
spicy.
So you would think it
Spicy
would
and
be
sweet.
you'd think it'd be super spicy, but so the tea itself is very spicy. If you go out and you get this cinnamon sunset tea, I can't even remember what brand. It's the little metal tin ones. It's like H&T, I think. It's
Mm-hmm.
very spicy. It comes out like Fireball. But the local honey I have is very sweet cinnamon, so it kind of really balances it out and gives it almost like a Christmassy flavor.
Ah, delicious. I just bought a hand soap that's like all the Christmas spices, all the fallen Christmas. Like I get it from this place in Kansas City that like makes like batch soap. Like I get a big jug of it at a time and then you can mix and match different flavors. So
Hmm.
I was just like winter spices, fall spices. Give it all to me. So I'm just a nutmeg, cinnamon
Hmm.
little slut over here. It's so fun.
I love that for you. Anything that we can be a slut for, we all know I'm here for it. Speaking of being a slut, this book that you have recommended for book club has been an absolute joy. I'm so glad you recommended it. And so far, from all of the people who have been listening, who are also commenting with us, they've also really liked it too. So you've done very well.
Thank you. Thank you. I have immaculate taste.
She
Which is
says
funny because
with
no, I don't. I think I got lucky.
immaculate taste. She has no ego, everyone. The most modest person, in the
I
most
have
humble.
I am literally the most humble person you will ever meet. You will never, ever find anyone as humble as I am. I make being humble look like a walk in the park.
My only regret with this right now is that you just said that and you're not wearing a crown at the moment.
I wear crowns a lot, man.
I just really wish that you were wearing a crown while describing how humble you are. I think that would have been funny.
I agree. The comedic timing would have been fabulous. Next time. Next time.
Next time. So today I just want to talk a little bit about DMing a bit because we're both DMs. We both have kind of this nice little take on DMing. So I just wanted to know. I think you've gone over this, but how did you get started DMing? Was it like a no one in the friend group wanted to do it, or were you like I'm gonna be a DM?
Um, no, both. I
Oh,
started playing in like 2019 or 2020. I think before COVID, just before COVID. My brother had long time played Dungeons and Dragons. He asked me to be in his first campaign that he was DMing. He wanted that to be people who like were fresh or would be patient and kind. So he had me, and that was my first time actually playing in a game. And from there, I was like, well, I can do what he's doing, so I want to DM. I want to do that. So then I started DMing myself just a couple weeks after we got into his campaign. And the rest is history. My brother was the first person who told me, like, hey, you're not going to be Matt Mercer. and that's okay. And I was like,
Yes.
challenge accepted, bitch.
Joke's on you. I am going to be Matt Mercer.
I am gonna be better. I'm so humble.
Yes, that reminds me a lot of how, kind of similar to how I started. So when I started DMing, I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons so bad, but nobody really wanted to. And I say that reminds me, like your brother's side of it reminds me. Because when I first started, I didn't have any of the official books. I had never like actually played Dungeons and Dragons. I played like dice role play games in culinary school, but it wasn't anything, like official. There was no rule book. It was us sitting around passing one D20. We didn't even have anything other than the D20.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's
it
like
was a
so classic
it was a
though.
whole
That's
mood.
wonderful. I love D&D for being the kind of game where you can just do that.
Yeah.
Ugh,
So I
it's
decided, you know
beautiful.
what, if we can just make it up on the fly, I'm gonna do it too. And so I literally built an entire system by myself for my first time ever doing it, and I just had like the people who lived with us. Um, and it was fun, but it was a whole ass wreck. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna get some official stuff, and that's how I started DMing. I was a DM before I was an actual player, and it was quite
Same.
a transition going from DM to player.
Yeah, I bet. I was lucky. As soon as I knew I was going to play in my brother's game, I just watched a bunch of Critical Role, to be honest. And I watched a lot of Brennan Lee Mulligan content. And
I'm
that taught me almost everything I know to
I'm
the point where I was like, okay, I'm
so
ready.
jealous of that because I didn't know Critical Role was a thing when I first started. I didn't know about Dimensions 20. I literally just wanted to play for myself. So I went and picked the books up and I studied them almost like I was going to be
Wow.
tested on them. Like I don't know if you comment a lot on It Mod Pod about how I just have this vast knowledge, but that's why because like to run this I had to study. I didn't have anyone to teach me. I didn't have anyone to be like, "Oh, this is how it's done." I was just by myself with a group of friends that were very generous and very kind and patient with
Yeah.
me.
Wow. Yeah. Guess I didn't realize how lucky I was. Like, I learned driving to and from my job at the time was an hour drive for me. So I had 2 hours every day to just be watching D&D and listening to D&D podcasts. So I got to just build the learning into my daily routine without having to. I don't think I bought a book until like 3 years later.
Yeah, I think.
I
See,
had PDFs.
I also had PDFs, but I had a friend who sent me Pathfinder PDFs, so it was like a whole Pathfinder First
Pathfinder's a lot.
Edition was a wreck to
It's a
like
lot.
pick up by yourself. So I was like, this isn't gonna work. I need to just get Fifth Edition because it
Yeah.
was rough. And the first thing I ran was Wild Beyond the Witchlight, which has become my absolute favorite. I've run it at least 20 times by now. Um, yeah, so I would say that I'm very also envious of how creative your mind is when it comes to like creating worlds because I really struggle with worlds. I feel like I'm pretty good at
Really
characters, but worlds, it ain't happening.
surprising to me. You are very good at characters, so I would think that's the same part of your brain, but no, you're right. It is like there's a lot of logistics that goes into creating a good world. So I guess it is kind of a different skill on in and of itself. However,
Yeah.
I think it's easier than you think it is. Like I've talked with Melanie on Tea Time about that. Like for me, building a world is like just kind of building wherever you are at the moment. I have a concept for the whole world. I have ideas of what the places are, but I don't flesh them out at all until I think you're about to get there.
Yeah.
So I
And
think it's
see,
easier than you think it is.
I
And once
think
you
that
have a vision, a concept, it's easy to make the city fit.
yeah, I think this campaign has definitely been really good for me in learning how to do that. Specifically, like behind the scenes, us kind of talking about Sanctuary, because when I make a character, I want to know everything about their backstory. Like me and Kara sat for 3 to 4 different sessions where it was just us talking for 4 hours about Marway's backstory and, kind of what makes him a character. So for me, I needed to know what Sanctuary looked like, before everything happened. So I think that really helped me. And everyone playing D&D needs to find someone like Kara because I've never met someone that is so easy to bounce ideas off of and to just be like, hey, this is what I want to do. And she's just like, bet. Like, Kara is down to clown at any moment.
True. That's very true. You're just making my ego bigger and bigger and bigger.
We'll get
No,
to
I
clown.
mean, like, you guys are like my ideal party, though. You make it very easy to be down to clown. You're not taking advantage of my kindness. You're not taking advantage of rule of cool. Like, the things, you all come to me with ideas, that, like, fit within the rules and that don't break the game and that don't, like, overdo my ability as the DM. And you come with ideas that are just, like, so fun I can't say no. Like, Marway's a fantastic character. Like, you come to me with 4 hours of backstory. That's what I've always wanted my players to do. It's just wrong for me to ask someone to devote that kind of time into it because it's hard. It's hard. Life is busy, and not everybody has the time to be a DM and to flesh out a character for hours and hours and hours of their life. But it sure is fun when I get to.
Yes, and I adore it. I love when it's a great like duo process, and as a player, that was something that I've struggled with for a long time, because as the DM, I got to I got to play what I wanted. Things were how I wanted them. And when you get out there in the, the actual play world, a lot of times it's the DM's way or the highway. It's you have to fit to them, and I feel like we really lucked out getting you because we could really just be like, hey, Kara, this is kind of what I want to do. And you're just like, absolutely.
That's very
It
exciting.
was
I
never,
love that.
it was never a situation where I felt like I had to conform to your world. It always felt like you wanted us to bring what we wanted. It always felt like a very inviting, creatively like space to be in where you really
Yeah.
encourage creativity. And, I'm also a story person, and a lot of other D&D is very much like, here's the story we're playing, fit inside that story. Whereas, we got to build something together, and I think that was really special.
Yeah. I mean, we fit like a glove, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I had already started making Dion by the time you and I connected and I got involved with this group. It was my first time homebrewing. So I needed a group of people to build it with me. That's what I like to do. I don't want to make a world and make you fit into it. I'm also a story driven person. Even if I'm not a player, your character stories are the important part of the game to me. So that's always going to be a part of how the world is built. So, like, yeah, we're building the plane as we fly it, kind of, but that's
Mm-hmm.
like very fun and exciting because it's not just me and my brain having to build this world. I'm building it like with the excitement of knowing how Marway might react, or like knowing like the part of the world Bula comes from, and like what does that mean that that part of the world exists. The way your characters are kind of shaped like why would a person be that way in this world, like what makes their society act like that, like why is it so distant that Zada's people are from the east and they have such like insular ways of thinking, and like all of that helped shape the world so much. And that's something I needed as a person who was homebrewing for the first time ever, so that I could like really think in depth about what it means to be a person alive on this world. I've always worked within the constraints of the Forgotten Realms or something similar, that was pre-written for me, and I love learning the lore of those things, but I really wanted to be the person to invent all of it
Mm-hmm.
from the start. So you guys just made that all the easier by giving me rich characters who then I had to say like, well, they're not that way for no reason. So what did the world do to bring them here?
Mm-hmm. Immortal Ambition says that she's leaving at the first spoiler. We will definitely notify you before we get into talking about anything. Um, I also wanted to give a
At least
shout
anything
out.
in the most recent episode, right? You were only behind on the most recent episode.
Yes, I think she
Catch it
said
up.
she's 59 minutes into episode 13.
Okay. Yeah, we won't spoil the last episode. Or if
Yeah.
we do, we'll tell you.
Yeah, we'll definitely have ample warning, but Immortal Ambitions is a player in one of my campaigns, and let me tell you, when we first started, she sent me like a 5-page essay about her character written from her character's point of view. DM's dream, let me tell you. Let me tell
Really?
you.
That's what you get me? Man, it is. Like I've had players who like struggle with the roleplay part, struggle with their character background part. Even my own husband, like his characters are all just like, I don't know, he's just a guy. I'm just like, give me more. It's like pulling teeth for some people, and I get it. Like it's hard. But man, is it dreamy when I don't have to pull teeth to get some juicy, rich backstory and ways to traumatize you.
Hmm.
You just write it for me.
Yeah, I served you so much on a silver platter, and it like for like I have called Kara literally crying because I'm like, Kara, I heard a song and it made me think about Maraway, and then I sent her the song and we just gush about like the emotions that we feel with these characters. Because I love trauma. Like, that sounds awful, but like in a character, in a story, I love trauma because I feel like it gives you something so relatable to grow from.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Yes, I agree with everything you just said. I keep wanting to like add, but nope. Yep, that covers it. I agree. Like having a character with trauma, and trauma doesn't look the same for everybody.
Hmm.
And trauma is such an interesting way to like enact character growth. It's such an interesting way for them to like have an instigating moment, even just at the beginning of the campaign. It's hard for some people to figure out like why would my character join up with these other weirdos?
Hmm.
And a little bit of trauma, a little bit of an instigating incident. Give me that, and we're off to the races, my friend.
Yeah. So, as a DM, let's get into some like DMing questions for you. Do you ever get, from DM to DM, do you ever get like pregame jitters where it's like, oh my god, I hope I prepared enough. Oh, what if something crazy like, do you ever get that?
Every time, yes. I don't think I've ever not had that. At least a little. Like I've learned to like embrace it. Um, I take a shot if it's bad enough before I have to go in and play, just to loosen myself up a little bit. Yeah, I do get the jitters every single time. When I'm writing, I'm excited.
Hmm.
Once I'm done writing and my people are starting to sit down and come around the table, and I feel like I'm still having ideas and I'm still frantically typing away, like, oh, but what if this happens and this happens? I still get like over anxious all the way up
Hmm.
until the minute we start. And then I just like once I've done my spiel and I tell you all like what do you do next? That's where everything all those
Gone.
nerves dissipate right in that moment. As soon as I like pass the reins and remind myself like that's something I'm saying that reminds myself every time as if I don't know what's going to happen that it's a player created story and that
Hmm.
it's not up to me. And that like I know I cannot possibly prepare enough, but I can over prepare. These are all things that don't come to me every time until I'm sitting down and I say, "What do you do?"
Hmm.
So yeah, I do. Do you get the jitters still? You're like professionally DMing.
Yeah,
What
I am.
what we're doing is very different. You're DMing a lot more often than I am.
Yeah, I will tell you, I still get them with everything except for Witchlight. Witchlight, I've run it so many times that, like, I
You know,
know
that's
these
fun.
characters front, back, sideways. I feel like I've really perfected my NPCs for that one. I love, as a DM, I love companion characters. I think you
Yeah.
could probably tell from Morroway that I don't like being alone at all. Being alone is like one of my deepest fears. And so, even in that, I like to make sure that my players know that they're not alone. I like to
Mm.
make sure that they know that if their characters are befriending people, that those friendships actually mean something. It's not just like, oh, next time I come to town, they're going to be slightly nicer to me. And I feel
Mhm.
like I've really, with that specific one, I've really perfected a lot of my NPCs to a point that they are extremely traumatizing. I mean, like, I
This is
pride
what they should be
myself.
much like.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Witchlight is twisted. It's awful. It's emotionally manipulating. If you'd like to run it with me, send us a message send me a message. I love running it. It's to this day my favorite, because I love the Feywild. I love whimsy. I love crazy characters. I feel like it really encapsulates a lot of Morroway. A lot of Witchlight is also there. It's traumatized, it's sad, but it's also hopeful.
Hmm.
Um, and I just love it. But other modules, I still very much get, the pre-show jitters, because I'm like, oh God, what if they ask me something and I don't know? What if I forget what this barkeeper's name is that I told them 3 sessions ago? Like,
It's
I
like you
have,
forget that you know how to improv.
I
You're good
know,
at it,
like,
right?
I I've got the memory of a goldfish, and that's like not a secret.
Mhm.
I forget things so quickly. And so like
Me too.
that is where my anxiety comes from with DMing is what if I forgot something important that these characters have done? What if I forgot what they're doing?
Yeah, I forget like my own story. Like, where are we going with this? Like, what is my end goal here? And then I go
Mhm.
back and look at my many notes and figure it out. But my notes also
Yeah.
have to be concise enough that I can actually find those things that I forget. It's a
Yeah.
balancing act.
I feel like I need to like post a picture of my notes from last session just on Instagram just to help me. That's just gonna help me. Um I thought about posting it. I might. But
The
no,
joys of live
like
stream.
but yeah, just like you, it's like the it. the anticipation leading to starting the game is crushing, but the moment it starts, it's like, oh my god, this shit's easy.
Yeah, yeah, truly. And I'm sure, like, if I didn't have like awesome players in my home games, in our Dion game, I have awesome players. Like, that helps a lot. It'd be very different if people weren't giving me back some effort. It'd be very different if they weren't like answering my questions. Like when I'm like, oh yeah, what was this person's name? Because I do that, and almost always I have really good players who take really good notes and who like care about the story as much as I do, and who, will help me when I need it, or will just like take 10, 15 minutes just in role play. And that allows me time to like gather myself to think what's coming next. I think if I didn't have players who could do all of those things, which I'm lucky enough to have, it'd be a very different story. I would not be the good DM that you all see me as.
Yeah.
I would be much more of a mess.
Yeah, I think the anxiety leading up to it is the worst part. But once you get going, it falls into place so nicely because you remember, I can do this. Like, this is easy. I do this all the time. There's nothing like the number one skill for a DM is improv. If you can just make shit up on the fly, you're good to go. And it doesn't even have to be good. Literally, if you need to kill some time, describe in the tavern there's a cute little goblin named Jibber Jabber, and guess what? You've just burned an hour and a half of your player's time.
They're gonna love it. You can say one time that the owner of the Buoyant Banshee is named Barnacle, and that's gonna last for 10 episodes.
You better believe it is.
And just saying the stupidest thing that comes to your mind, just say it. Just let it out of your mouth. Immortal Ambitions just said, you guys are making me slightly less terrified to attempt DMing, but the rules freak me out. We're telling you, it's not the rules that are the hard part. It's getting comfortable with the improv and saying just getting comfortable with whatever is going to come out of your mouth, knowing that that's the truth. That's the hard part, is learning to trust yourself and think on your feet quickly. The rules, like I just said, if you have a good party, they know the rules. They know the rules for their characters and their classes and their ancestries.
Sometimes.
So you can lean on, sometimes, yeah. Don't play with brand new people maybe if you're still freaked out about the rules. Like I said, I was lucky enough. I started DMing with people who knew what the heck they were doing, and that helped a lot for me to learn the rules because I could literally stop and ask. And if you have a fun party, they're going to be willing to answer the question. So don't be afraid of the rules. You don't have to know all the rules. Also, Google exists.
And if you're questioning rules, we have this amazing podcast called the Intelligence Mod Pod where we are going over all of the rules. Me and Kara next week will be talking all about social encounters and how we approach improving social encounters. But when it comes to rules, I think what's important is not to be so specific on one set of rules. It's to familiarize yourself with the generalization and then rule of cool the rest. If you're still learning, do not be afraid of rule of cool. I know when I first ran Witchlight, I was such a stickler for the rules. I wanted everything to be perfect. And I learned very quickly how much more fun you could have just by having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, truly. You will learn the rules as you play. And you can do like me, watch other people DM, because their parties will ask questions on their streams. Watch plenty of live streams. There's lots of ways to learn the rules that aren't traditional sit down and read the book. Go listen to a podcast like Mod Pod. Quite easy. And ask questions during the game. It's never gonna hurt anybody if you ask questions during the game. It's just gonna make everybody better and more fun players.
Because
as a player or as a DM.
Yeah, if you have the question, there is a good chance that someone else at that table has the same question, and they might just not have the courage to ask it. So, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing I want to talk about, I pride myself on NPCs, right? But I want to talk about some of your NPCs because they bring me so much joy, right?
They're so cute.
The first one I want to talk about is my favorite NPC that I hope becomes a main villain or something, but that's Cool Guard. I adore how Cool Guard...
Why did I think you were going to say Chiffon or Dart, a cute one, but it's Cool Guard.
No, I don't want Chiffon to be a villain. No, Cool Guard. I love that he went from being this just absolute throwaway, oh, he's just a cool guard, to being this, I mean, I think it's safe to say that he's an antagonist.
At this point. Yeah.
You know, like he's not a
Because,
bad guy, but he is an antagonist.
yeah, for sure. Okay, talking about Coolguard, I have no control over Coolguard. I never have. He was just a throwaway city guard for that very first flail snail battle. I happened to say one time, yeah, he looks pretty cool. And then you all dubbed him Cool Guard. And from there on, like, Serafina wanted to flirt with him, and everybody kept mentioning him. And I was like, shit, I guess I'm gonna have to, like, give him a whole character backstory, which he has. He also has a name. I'm not gonna tell you what it is.
I have to be honest. I
That's part of
don't
the
even
fun.
think I want to know. It's like a part of me
No,
really
exactly.
hopes we finish the campaign and we never learn it,
You
and
never
then
know.
and then we get into season 2 and I almost want to play Cool Guard. Like how crazy would that be?
Oh my
Like
god.
can you imagine JP playing Cool Guard? After he's like
That's my
literally
dream.
right now he's like JP's kind of main antagonist in terms of like people we know.
Yeah.
That would be
And
such a
hates it.
twist.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I haven't had control over Cool Guard. I thought, okay, he's Cool Guard, so I'm gonna let him like be at the fire at the house of Paramnesia, and like give Melanie a chance to talk to him as Serafina. And then like she was like, okay, come talk to us more, and I was like, shit, okay. And so he came and talked to you more, and I did not. I expected him to be like flirty with her, and that was it. I was just gonna make him like a romanceable NPC. But then Eidos had to go and fucking hate the guy, so now he's an antagonist, and now he's like awful. And so now I have to play him like really obnoxious and also flirty. He's just like becoming this whole fleshed out character based on how you all react to him. And God, I couldn't have written it better. I couldn't have. I couldn't have written Cool Guard and had it come out this like fun. It just goes to show you like the improv moments. Those are the things that are like the realest.
Yeah. And like something I would like urge newer DMs when making NPCs is you can make something that you're going to love, right? But do not shove that NPC down your player's throat because they are going to tell you what characters they love. They will hell, we created Cool Guard because we liked him so much. Like your players will do so much of the work for you. Like if you're worried about, oh, how do I, like, what kind of stories should I do? Like, your players are going to tell you what stories they want, you know? Obviously, if you're playing a noble with a tragic, like, your father hates you story, obviously you want a little bit of political intrigue in your story. You want a little bit of this, like, revenge kind of vibe to it. Like, just listen to your players. They will tell you exactly what they want.
Yeah, that is so accurate. And Cool Guard is just the perfect example of
Yeah,
that.
yes.
Like, he was literally made for this party to interact with. Literally. Love that guy.
I love him. I
What
think
can you
he's
do
so
with that
good.
mage hand, girl?
What can you do with that mage hand? God, and he's just so sleazy.
He's so sleazy. I've never been that smooth or sleazy in real life, ever. How do I do it on a stream where people are watching? I don't understand. I just black out every time.
Yeah, I mean, and like, I think something I absolutely, like, for me, the later champ was one of the most, like, this sounds stupid, but one of the most powerful lines that has been uttered on our stream. Like, it was so simple, but the impact that those two words had just devastated all of us.
Yeah. I'm surprised John Paul didn't just like fall backwards out of his chair. He was so taken aback. I don't think that was Eidos reacting. I think that was John Paul.
Absolutely. I agree. But just later
All
champ
of
was,
us.
oh my god. And it was so powerful. I can't wait to get back to Tuzankin and hang out with Cool Guard some more.
Yeah, the three things I'm most proud of are later champ. That was a stroke of genius. I don't know where that
Golden.
came from. In a recent episode when Zada is walking away from Chiffon, I don't remember exactly what she said, but he had just said something like, you should fight harder to be happy or something. And she was like, you would be happy if you stopped fighting so hard. I was like, okay, yes, that is not
Amazing.
who Chiffon was when I wrote her. That's just another prime example of a character, an NPC, becoming what you all make of them. Because Chiffon was, by all accounts, a socialite in my head. That was the whole concept. I wrote no further than that. She was a socialite. I didn't plan on her having an accent until I plopped her into the world and thought, yeah, she's going to have a cute accent. And then everything else that has come from her has been in reaction to how your characters react and treat her.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. She's everything about her. Like, she would not have had that depth of a smart thing to say without Zada initiating this conversation with her, right? Like, he kind of wrote her in that moment. I just reacted. I just did what someone would do having this conversation, and I figured in that moment, like, oh, she's wise. Like, she's a little bit wise beyond her years. She's not a dumb socialite. And that's exactly what I wanted her to be, but I didn't know it until I had Zada to kind of, like, be an antagonist for her, and vice versa. Yeah. Coolguard and Chiffon are two NPCs that definitely were made for and by all of you.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I love, and speaking with, like, just the improv nature of everything, you know, I love just the character growth that we're having in ourselves, you know, because I never expected, one, for Zada and Maraway to get as close as they have, and then for Immortal Ambitions, this is going to be a slight spoiler for you.
Close your ears.
In 3, 2, 1. I don't even want to say fallout, but, like, the damage I feel like has kind of been done to their relationship with such a small act. You know, just the small realizations. Like, these aren't things that when you go into it you're planning on happening, you know? I think during the little break we had, I let you know, like, hey, I want you to know I'm about to have a moment, you know, because it was like in that moment I knew this is how Maraway is feeling, and he needs to let that out. So
Yeah.
it's just, I feel like the improv that we've all had and the character grope. I don't know why. I was reading something with a G in it. The character groping that we've had has just, you know, really developed. I feel like quite a few of our characters. You know, I feel like right now we still have a couple that we need to get our emotional ties down to. You know, I'm trying real hard to get Eidos and Killian to be Maraway's best friends.
Still early, baby. We're only 13 episodes in.
They're just so mysterious.
And that's their characters, right? Not everybody's an emotional open book like Maraway. Some are going to be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, it's been a challenge to crack those two. And, you know, let me get Immortal back in.
Yep. All clear.
You good. Where's my R? Goodness. But like with Killian, you know, I feel like we've had such a great emotional breakthrough recently where we've started that journey of getting closer. And I'm really enjoying it. I think it's really cool to watch how we're just naturally coming into things.
Yeah, it shows, like, you know, some characters can, like, through just their own, I don't know, through their own personality, some characters will just connect easily, emotionally, whatever. And some players are, like, quicker to do that. But it just goes to show, like, proximity in real life and in D&D will always, like, bring all the secrets out eventually.
Yeah.
Whether you want it to or not, whether you're, like, very mysterious drow or not. Just being around so many people for so long, someone's going to start to ask questions, and you're going to start to trust each other as characters. And it's not going to make sense for a super long time that you wouldn't eventually confide in them or ask them for help. So I love it. And also, we can't get everybody too close too fast. That wouldn't be satisfying. We have to work for it.
I know. And it's been
like
a
Cool
work.
Guard.
Just like Cool Guard. The next people I want to talk about is the Crimson Cloaks. I thought that this group was so beautifully well done because it was done in such a way that kind of, I don't want to say it split the party because it didn't, but it wedged us just a little bit. It made all of us, or some of us, like, really have to question what we are willing to do for the right thing to be done. And I thought it was so brilliant the way that they were kind of, you know, they were obviously this Robin Hood kind of, you know, help the people, but at the same time they were being presented as just a straight thieves guild, because that's kind of the notion we were getting from the people they were stealing from, who were also stealing from the people. And I think just the way that they added light tension was so beautifully done.
Yeah, that was, thank you, first of all. That was purposeful. This is one that I can say, like, yes, I designed it that way. They were made with a couple intentions. A, you had been in Tuzenkin a while. You had gotten friendly with, like, the leaders of Tuzenkin and the hoity-toity. Like, you had been to, like, a festival that was very lighthearted, and everything had been pretty, like, smooth sailing. And so I needed something to show that, like, not everything is what it seems in the world of Dion. Like, you're seeing the very pretty face of the city, not so much the back alleys. So they were a way to A, force you all to look at the back alleys, and B, they were just kind of my own, like, play on chaotic versus lawful. That's it. Like, I was like, okay, so I know I have a lot of lawful players. I know that, like, Marway doesn't like thievery in general, or stealing or lying. But I know some of their characters would be very much on board with, like, what they see as moral good, but is not lawful. So it was very much a way to, like, instill this immediate, very, like, I just injected drama into the group a little bit by doing that. I made you all kind of, like, take a stance, right? Like, you could have very easily all agreed that thieving is bad, but I knew that wasn't going to be the case. I knew that you were going to have to debate it, and that some of you would think thieving good when from rich people. Some of you are rich people. Some of you don't like thieving and are poor people. Like, it was just a very quick way for me to show the differences in your characters when you had all, so far, just been surface level bonding. So thank you. Yes, they were a very, like, purposeful insertion on my part. However, I didn't, like, none of those characters are really stand out individually. It's the guild itself that's good, right?
It's the entity that is the Crimson Cloaks. It is the ideology behind them, and I think that's what made them more divisive for us, is that it's not just one person that's telling us to do something. It's this organization. So it's like it's a lot of people who are all, together wanting this specific thing done.
Yeah, you couldn't just decide, I like this person. You had to decide, is this morally right or wrong as an organization? Which is an interesting question to ask any group.
Yeah, and
it was part of the world building. Like, I was like, I need them to see that the world is kind of, it's not all flower festivals.
Even though the flower festival was so much fun, Marway ate that up. I can't think of a better introduction to Marway as a character than a flower festival. It's like, I like to think, this is going to be me being a little selfish, but I like to think that was just written, but then a part of me is like, that was for me. And I doubt it was for me, but, like, I'm going to take it and I'm going to own that shit.
I'll let you believe it was for you. I won't answer that question.
But it's like, and I thought it was a really nice way to just, the flower festival in general was a nice way to introduce everyone in a non-threatening way, to kind of get, like, we see Eidos and Seraphina very hoity-toity. We see Bula and Marway both being very food-motivated. Bula significantly more so than Marway. We see Killian not really letting loose, but probably the loosest we've seen him before shit started going crazy. And Zada was just, again, as always, down to clown.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea behind the flower festival is, you have the trope of, like, always starting a D&D campaign from a tavern. Like, you meet in a tavern. A flower festival, that's just a big tavern. That's all I was doing. I was just expanding that tavern out across the city and making it a cultural celebration. And that's just a real, like, just in storytelling in general, that's a real quick way to inject some culture and show you exactly what a city is about. Have them throw a festival for whatever they would be worshiping.
Yeah.
And you'll have all these little details that fall into place.
But no, something I've really enjoyed about the pacing of your storytelling so far is you really, like, in our first couple episodes, we really brought everyone together, right? And then as soon as we got comfortable with each other, here comes Crimson Cloak to kind of drive this wedge just a little bit. And then as soon as we kind of close that wedge up, Here comes the biggest bombshell of Dark Down that was easily the most divisive thing in the campaign so far. And I there are two words that I can use to describe Dark Down, and that's tragic and wild card. Cause oh my god, I had no idea what to make of this character.
Excellent. Yes, I love Dark Down. And I kind of knew I would because I like Eureka Fellshade too. And I like them both for the same reason. Like, they are both chaotic. And they are both, like, either extremely likable or extremely unlikable. And there is no in between. There's no one who's just like, oh, they're fine. Like, yeah. You're either morally on board with this thing or you're morally not. And Dark Down is just all of those things. So I fucking love Dark Down. So I probably made her a little bit too cute and funny. However, like, I realized, I think on the second time I played her, on the second episode she was in, I was like, I accidentally just wrote Gollum. This is just Smeagol Gollum. And I was like, how did that's, you know, there's only so many tropes out there. Apparently I just scooped up Gollum and I was thinking about Lord of the Rings a lot. Yeah. But, like, that's a great character. That's a fantastic character. Someone who's, like, fallen to the dark side via their own, like, moral ineptitude. Like, that's just tasty, delicious, and, like, a cute little creepy, gross monster. Everybody loves cute little creepy ghost monsters.
Yeah, I mean, and see, you say you made her too cute, but I think had she not been as cute as she was, she would not have been as divisive as she was.
You guys would have killed her.
Yes.
Right off the bat.
Yes, and I mean... Yeah. I wish, like, one day we'll have to show you our player-only chat, because I will tell you up front, I, as a player, I was not a fan of Dark Down as, like, a companion. Like, as a DM, fellow DM, I thought she was brilliant. I thought she was perfect, and I thought she was so effective at what she was doing. But as a player, I don't like wild cards, and she was very much a wild card. She was unpredictable. You know, we had no idea, is she evil? Is she good? Is she just questioning? You know, and then, of course, playing Morroway, I couldn't be that person. You know, I couldn't be the one that's like, we can't trust this person, because she is exactly the kind of person that Sanctuary was built to help. So, you know,
Morroway believes in redemption and healing through kindness, and I knew it was a toss-up. I made Dark Down. I fell in love with her immediately as I was making her, and I broke my own heart because I knew that you would all either love and protect her or you would kill her on the spot, and it was fine either way. I had the story ready to go either way. You were going to end up kind of at the same place because that's what DMs do. We railroad you sneakily. But yeah, I was prepared for you to kill her, but I was so not ready for her to die. I love that little thing.
Yeah, and, like, in our private chat, it was literally me like, guys, someone has to kill Dark Down. But when we get in stream, don't listen to me, because I'm going to be defending her, but just know I want her dead. Because I like, Morroway adores this person, but Bobby, no ma'am, I don't like this, and it scares me. And apart from just being a divisive character that really let us show our personality and the way we view, you know, those who have fallen to misfortune due to their own, you know, their own choices. You know, this isn't like someone who was abused into it. This was her fault. She did this to herself. And I feel like it really let us show that. But beyond that, she was also such a fun expositional tool to kind of reveal little bits of our characters that we otherwise probably wouldn't have gotten to reveal in quite some time.
Yeah, I really wanted to start dropping lore bombs on you all, like, of your own backgrounds. I was like, and I didn't want it to be in a way that forced you all to start spilling your own secrets, that forced you all to read further into it. I just wanted it to be quick, snappy, like, you'll understand this later. But yeah, there's some fucked up shit going on behind those eyes for each of you. And I was like, and this is such a fun way to do it. And it's a little bit random, even for me. Like, I'm like, I don't know when Dark Down's going to reveal some lore drop, and I don't know what she's going to reveal. That's stuff I come up with on the spot when it feels appropriate. So it does feel she is a wild card. She totally is. And that can be very dangerous for a D&D party. But at the same time, I think you all liked her, having her around, because you all, again, want a natural way to start giving your character some more bones and some
Mm-hmm.
more flesh. And she's a good way for those things to be just dropped in your lap. And what you
Mm-hmm.
do with them, that's up to you. As opposed to any of you feeling like you have to shoehorn in your own moments, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want you all to I want to be able to like prompt you into this.
Yeah. And Immortal Ambition says, what? Bobby not liking wild cards? Definitely not how you present as a DM. As a DM, I love wild cards. Not as players, though, because I hate Wild Magic Sorcerer is my least favorite class in the game. But the reason Dark Down made me so uneasy is because of the specific character I was playing. Maraway trusts her. And despite me as a player being very weary of her, Maraway likes her. Maraway sees her as someone who needs to be saved, which means I was, as a player, I also was at the whims of Dark Down and her chaos. You know, because Maraway was going to protect her. He was going to go with whatever she said. And that puts Maraway in a very dangerous position that I really don't have any control over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well put.
Yeah.
That's my girl. That's my Dark Down. I love a good NPC. I love people who are narrative devices. Everybody's a narrative device in someone else's world.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm not going to spoil anything from Mortal Ambitions.
Yeah, I'm also excited. I also, we've already talked about her a little bit, but my personal favorite NPC of yours so far, Chiffon Foxglove. Oh my god. This is the kind of NPC I eat up. I would eat this character up for breakfast, brunch, lunch, after lunch, dinner, supper, dessert, second breakfast, all of it. I fucking adore Chiffon.
I do too. I have decided that if and when I get to play as a player and not a DM, I'm going to fully play Chiffon Foxglove.
What
Yeah,
class
I'm
is
gonna
what
play
class are you
myself.
thinking?
I think Eloquence Bard.
Eloquence really? That's
I
not
think
what I
so.
thought you were gonna say.
I have other ideas. She is a rogue as it stands, but if I play her as a character with a similar backstory, to me she is still a bard. She is still a friendly socialite who people love to watch.
See, I personally, I got Mastermind Rogue vibes off of her. Is what
That's what
I
she is
got.
currently. That's
And
what she literally is right now, because that is what will fit in the world that we have planned for her, perhaps. But yeah, Chiffon is another one who I wrote as a concept, just socialite. Like she's one that I like pulled out of my like 3 a.m. D&D ideas note. I've always wanted to just like put a Paris Hilton into a D&D world and see what happens.
that's
So
hot.
that's what she is. She's a hot little socialite. Everybody loves to watch her, but she has no real friends. People think she's stupid. She's rich. She's a little stupid. That's what I want to play. So I was like, sure, I'll throw her in as like a filler in this city is where she makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up not a filler. She ended up being someone I love deeply enough to keep bringing her back.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was gonna just be, she came in as she was. Like, she's gonna invite you all to a party. She's gonna ask you to help her escape to fake her death. And then the plan was maybe never see her again. But the way D&D goes, everybody
Yeah.
loves her. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, and like I loved the ball specifically. I greatly enjoyed. I feel like that was another position that you placed all of us in that we really got to reveal things about our characters, you know? I feel like face value, no one would probably think that Maraway knows the etiquette that would be a custom in a ball, you know? He probably wouldn't know how to dance, but these are things that, his mother, wanted him to be prepared when the queen throws balls. And so, that's something that, when you're taking in refugees, parties can be a way to lift spirits. So that was something that was very prevalent in Sanctuary. And it was really fun to get to kind of show a very different side of Maraway versus just the kind of clumsy, ditzy kind of character, the more kind of strung up, anxious about making a mistake kind of character.
Yeah. Yeah. I did want to see specifically how Marway would react to Chiffon's parents arriving, how they treat her. I really wanted to see you all react to that. I love giving you a character who looks like one thing and then doing something that throws you all way off balance. And Chiffon was one that I was like, yeah, they obviously would not like her, would not trust her. But look at why she is the way she is.
Yeah,
And immediately you kind of, the coin flips.
I mean, I will be honest, I trusted her from the beginning. Like, it was probably not wise of me to do so, but it's like the moment that we got to the ball, there was something about her that I feel like you had a throwaway line that you might not have even realized about, like, her eyes. Like some kind of sadness or like anxiety in her eyes or something. Like you gave something, just such a little morsel. And it's like from that moment I was like, oh my god, this girl's been through some shit.
Yeah. Good. I don't know exactly what line it was, but I did drop a lot of things that were symbolic of that thought, that this party was supposed to show that she has hundreds of friends who are all not her friends. Like, and at several times she's like flitting from table to table and having like superficial conversations, but no one's approaching her. She's sitting alone at a table. She claims that she's saving seats for you, but no one else even asks if they can sit with her. She ends up dancing with just you guys because no one else is engaging her. This party was supposed to be a device to show you all that this girl, like, while being like a very chipper and very much like Maraway, like looking on the bright side or like projecting a bright side, is like sad and lonesome. And that this is a world where that happens, even if they are like the most privileged and, elite status, that they can be neglected and alone and not know how to raise themselves, and therefore is flawed because she's essentially just a little girl who never had parents to raise her.
Yeah,
and that's a sad story to me.
I think a lot of Maraway's like being drawn to her, I feel like her and Maraway are very much two very opposite sides of the exact same coin. Whereas, in Sanctuary, it was nice. Everything was beautiful, but he was encouraged by his mother. He was very much, everyone believed that he could do so much. And it didn't matter, if he faltered, it didn't matter if he failed. They were so far behind, like they were so behind him. And then he sees someone that also is in this, position where people should be supporting her. People should be helping her. And she's getting the exact opposite from her mother that Maraway would get. And, being people that would take refugees in, his mom was a mom to more than just him. She was the adoptive mother of so many of these people who lost their homes. And so for him, it's like, this again is the kind of person that Sanctuary was made for, and it's not here anymore. And I think that made him almost feel a sense of like sadness, that almost like he's failed her a little bit because he should have been there to help her in a way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a lot for like Maraway's side of things, is why I think he was so drawn to her, because that's who he was supposed to be there for. But,
Yeah.
Rip Sanctuary.
Yeah. He's another seasonal NPC. Oh, Sanctuary. I want to know. I'm going to try to make an NPC who Seraphina doesn't love and take under her wing. She's like become walking Sanctuary on Dion. Like, this girl has taken in and loved every NPC I've thrown at you guys.
Yes.
How am I gonna get Seraphina to hate someone?
I have no. They need to be dirty.
But Darkdown is dirty.
No, she likes prestidigitation.
Clean, but Darkdown was living in a sewer.
But she likes being clean. We need someone that loves filth. Someone that like as they hug her, like stain her dresses with like dirt.
Yeah.
That'll get her.
Yeah.
Look
That's
at me.
good. That's a good idea.
This is our smear campaign for Seraphina.
How am I gonna fuck Seraphina up? Grouch from Sesame Street. Yes, just someone who lives in a trash can. Yes.
100%.
That could work.
That would be great.
That could work. Oh man, it is hard to. I don't know. It's hard. It's been hard to scare you all away from someone. Like, I keep throwing people at you, and they have red flags, and you all see the red flags very clearly, but you all know D&D well enough, and I think by now you all know me well enough, that the twist is never going to be the twist you think it is. Like I know you were some of you, not you, not Marway specifically, but I guess you. You as in Bobby, not as in Marway. But like I know Dane and Royal were like very suspicious of, and John Paul to a level were very suspicious of Chiffon initially, and like she's evil, like she's really gonna lie, like she's deceiving us hardcore. And that the whole time I was just like, no, no, not really. But also, your imaginations are always gonna be worse than anything I can think of. So the longer I can like draw out the suspicion of what someone's secret is, I think the more exciting it is when I drop it and it's just like, nah, she just wants to get out of here.
Yeah. And like I see, and that's where it gets difficult for me be as a player versus a character, because I as a player, I'm very calculated. I'm very like systematic with the way I do things. Like if you look at the way I any combat experience we have, I have 4 pieces on the board at any given time that I'm commanding each of these things. So it's like I like having control. I like knowing things. I like knowing where things are. And what's hard is when I know things and I can't act on them, because Maraway is naive. He is very trusting. He's very forgiving, and I feel it's very difficult. The Dark Down really fucked me up because, again,
Yeah.
as a player, I was begging Royal as Zada to kill her because I
Yeah.
knew as Maraway I would defend her. And she
Yeah.
would just be with us forever. And I'm like, no, please just kill her.
I think something I did with Dark Down that I'm really glad I did. I knew that if I just presented her to you, she is a monster. Do you know what monster she is, Bobby?
I do. I don't remember the name, but I know what it is. I've seen the pictures. I've run
Yeah.
with one before.
Yeah, so she is for anybody who doesn't know, she's a Nothic. Um so she is a monster. So literally if I had just dropped her in front of you, even with her saying things to you, that would have been a combat encounter. Y'all would have rolled initiative and killed her, right? I had to introduce her very carefully, to the point where I led you guys to the House of Paramnesia, introduced her as like a human mage, and had you find her journals, her writings, like I let you guys find out her backstory before you ever met her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was very important in getting everybody to consider, especially people who would just outright stab first, ask questions later. Zada.
Zada.
Gave them pause, right? To the point where even Zada was the first one to go and talk to her because I had given him all these little breadcrumbs saying, no, she's a person, she has a life, we can see how she ended up this way. And even Zada, who doesn't like that she was fucking around with the gods, had pause enough to not just outright kill her as soon as you met her. And that was something I think was very important for a character like Dark Down.
Yes. I think, though, Zada, it was such a balancing act because he was, I think the only thing that kept his hand wasn't even about her. It was about what is she going to do to overthrow the gods? That's what I need to know. So
He was curious. He didn't care about her.
It was
He
like
needed info.
investigation, not caring about her as a person. And I think, again, I can't say enough how much I adore the dynamic that I've been able to build with Maraway and the other characters. But, I feel like right now my strongest bonds obviously is Maraway and Bula. They're inseparable. But Zada has given me so much space to really flourish as Maraway because much like him and Chiffon, I feel like they also are very much the same, but very different reactions to the same. Because they're both very much fish out of water. They don't really understand what's happening. But whereas Maraway values, love and like compassion and forgiveness, Zada values being right. If you're bad, you're gone. There's no redemption. And I feel like it's given, I don't know about him, I can't speak for him, but I know for me, it's given me so, like, many great moments that I can really show off exactly how Maraway thinks. Because even when we agree, when he killed the treasurer, spoiler alert, for, like, episode 8, something like that, when he killed that treasurer, I feel like up until that moment, people would have expected Maraway to be appalled by this action, but the people trusted this man and he betrayed them. And for Maraway, betrayal of people in need is kind of like an unforgivable act. So for him, it was justice, and I think it's fun how me and Zada kind of have this like agree, disagree kind of relationship going on. And it's just a lot of fun to work with and work off of.
Yeah, you all have characters who are so interesting together because none of you are like outright evil. Is Eidos evil aligned? I don't know.
I have
He's not like outright evil. He's not out
No.
doing evil shit all the time. So none of you are evil, and yet you are on such a wide spectrum of chaos versus lawful, and what each of those things mean in and of themselves. That is that's as opposing to each other as being a good and evil party, right? Like how you interpret what is good and what's bad, what is chaotic, what is lawful, what the law should be. That's all like that's some juicy stuff that people can be in a party together and fully not agree and trying to convince each other of their way of thinking. But for everybody, like that is part nature, part nurture, I think. Like, and for your characters, that's especially true. Like, as much as you might want to change your mind and you might like agree to disagree, not all of your characters are going to really change your mind when you've been, had certain traumas or been raised a certain way.
100%.
That's fun. And it's a good way. Like, you don't always want everybody to agree because there's no revelation in that, right? Like, Zada's giving you moments to show Morroway's like less upfront qualities. Having someone do something you don't like is a really good way to show how your character would react.
And like it really he really opens me up to really show what's behind the mask of Morroway without any spoilers for our latest episode. But like and I love the dynamic that he gives, but also the dynamic that everyone has been giving, at least to me. I've really enjoyed it because I don't think there's a single person who hasn't really spent good time with Morroway. Obviously Bula, we do everything together. Serafina, we get to dress up and we're like, I feel like she kind of lets him be a kid still, and I feel like he kind of brings out the childish side in her also. And then Killian, I think, really brings out his more serious, more dutiful side. Dutiful side. Dutiful.
Duty.
It's just Eidos right now is the only one that I feel like Morroway has had a little bit of struggle connecting with.
And that's by design.
Close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he is
by
very
design on John Paul's
standoffish.
part.
Yeah. He does it great.
And yet, I love how John Paul plays Eidos because Eidos is as much of a leader as Killian to me. Like, he's... I don't know, we'd have to go through and, like, count lines, but when it comes to, like, making decisions, talking through things... interacting with NPCs, Eidos is one of the first and the loudest voices most of the time. He's very quick to jump into the conversation, I guess. And for him to do that as often as he does, to be as talkative as Eidos is, and still play it as standoffish, as mysterious, as hidden and closed off. For someone to talk that much and still be those things, he could just play it silent and sullen. He doesn't. He's out here giving his opinion. He's talking. He's constantly improving, and yet he is still one of the most mysterious and hard to reach characters. That is such a feat to me. I'm like, I dig it so much. I'm like, I expected, quiet, sullen, angry drow, and that is not what Eidos is. And it's so fascinating to see how he can have that duality. Tasty.
And it's like
And I can't wait for him to start to reveal stuff about himself. Yes. Like him and Killian's most recent conversation, I was just like, yes, more.
Give me more. But like, we had a conversation off of the stream where he was, he applauded me for like how emotionally open I am for Morroway. And he's like, I could never, do that much. But it's like, just on the same side, I would struggle so much to play a character that isn't emotionally open. I think, you look at Morroway early episodes, obviously he was very much behind a mask, he was hiding everything, but there was still the vulnerability to him. Whereas with Eidos, he is able to hide things and he stays firm with it. Like, he is this brick wall that is impossible to get through. And it's, except for when Coolguard is flirting with Serafina.
Oh! He was so mad. It was so great. And I love that even I am not sure. Like, he played it so well. Is he jealous? Is he? I'm so confused. He's just so mad. So many
Me.
things.
So
Layers.
I feel like all of us have kind of paired off, right? Player wise, me and Robin, we talk about everything. I feel like Melanie and JP are together, and Royal and Dane kind of, when our characters need to do that, they're the most similar. And so me and
Yeah.
Robin talk so much, right? We talk so much shit, everyone. Um, and that was one of the things that we're like, oh my god, are they like gonna be together? Like, are we gonna see like a player romance? Um, so we'll just have to see how it plays out,
Mystery.
because they've often on the stream said, like, they've referred to each other like as brother and sister. So is
And
it
that is,
weird?
yeah, that's how
Maybe it might be weird,
that's what I'm thinking.
but
He was specific. He was jealous in this moment, but not in a romantic capacity. And that's juicy. That's tasty. It's not what you think it is.
it, like,
Oh,
because
it's so
not
good.
that not that being protective is a weakness, but it showed a weakness in him. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the mask
Mm-hmm.
cracked in that moment, and we kind of got to see a little bit of what Eidos is hiding. And I thought that was
Yeah.
super cool. And I feel like the
Just
same
seeing
with
Ida's
Seraphina.
care.
I'm ready to see what's behind Seraphina's mask. Because right now she also is just a bubbly, fun, let's go shopping. I don't know if it's because she's just naive, or if it is a mask. But I'm excited to kind of dig a lot more into that as well. Immortal Ambition
Yeah.
says, I think he feels that Cool Guard isn't good enough for her. I agree. I
Mhm.
also think that.
And
But it,
also, like, there's also the layer of, like, we've seen Eidos and Serafina, like, compete with their flirting. Like, he's also, like, he's probably jealous in both directions. Like, he's probably not good enough for her. And also, why is he not flirting with me? Like, he's a little bit narcissistic in that way. And him and Serafina butt heads on that. Like, so many layers
so
that just the
many.
smallest little, like, seeing him melt down one time and we all just go, oh my God, depth.
Yes.
There it
And
is. It's so satisfying because he's managed to keep it so close to the chest for so long. It would have been different if that had been in episode one. We've all been like, okay, that's Eidos. He's jealous.
yeah.
But now we're all like, oh, he shows emotion. New, exciting.
Yeah, and there's so many aspects to, like, revealing character. Because, for me, when me and Kara first had come up with, like, how Marway was going to be played, I was not going to reveal any of the emotion for a very long time. But there were just moments that hit that, I told her I would like to start showing things, because I feel like it would mean more if people understand that every time he smiles, it's not real.
Yeah.
And with Eidos, I feel like he's just dangling it in front of us, and it just makes me want it more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen that commercial where he's got like the dollar? He's like, "Oh, we have to be quicker than that." I feel like that's
Yeah,
Eidos with
that's it.
emotions. It's like his
Yeah.
emotions are there. He's like, "Whoa, almost."
Can't get it. Gotta be quicker. That's accurate.
So the last thing I want to talk about for today is something that you did for us that I had never done before. I had never thought about it, and now I have done it with so many of my characters. And that's that you created a playlist filled with songs for all of our characters. And I just wanted this to be something that I brought up to people who follow us, to tell them, like, do this with your character, because before every stream I listen to my Morroway playlist. I have a different one now. I made my own,
Yes.
but like that's how I get in the mindset for Morroway, is I listen to this music. I listen to it not on stream also, but like even for future characters, I've already compiled absolute, like, massive playlists for what right now I would say is probably my front runner for season 2 if we do one, which we will, because we're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think right now Kara is the only one that I've showed that playlist to, but it's been so cool to have this like music that gets you in the mood. How did you come up with that idea?
Jeez, what a question.
Right?
It was a while ago. Why did I do it? No. So it's something I do with my D&D characters. Mortal Ambitions, I will share them in the Discord group. So another reason for everybody to join the Discord fan page.
Yes.
Thank you. I will share them later. No, I don't know. What did I do? I heard a song, and it made me think if Killian would like had a car, it would like be an old muscle car, and he would be like listening to this song. And I think that's how it started. And I was like, I'm gonna make a whole playlist. And then I was like, but wait, Eidos needs like an emo boy playlist. So I started making Eidos, and I was like, everybody has such a vibe. And immediately I knew exactly what songs I would have that character like be bopping to. Yeah, and then I was just like, well, this is something they're all gonna love. So I think I stayed up until like, I don't know, I was just like laying in bed in the dark at like 2 a.m. on my phone, like adding all these different songs from just my own like various playlists to your guys' individual playlists on Spotify.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I can't wait to share. Because I
Yeah,
just
there
geeked
was
out for a while.
a little teaser for you for the Morroway one. One song that hit me really hard that like I hadn't heard in so long, and now I listen to it all the time, was If It Makes You Happy by Sheryl Crow that you had put on there. And it was just like, just if it makes you happy, why are you so sad? And I was like, oh my God, that is Morroway in a nutshell. I think that and Fake Happy by Paramore are two of my absolute favorite Morroway songs. The only other one that I think really, really smacks it hard is New Soul by... Oh, I don't even remember her name. I'm going to link mine down in the Discord also so people can listen to the Morroway. Oh, I might not actually because
Morroway's version? Yeah.
I've got some...
The Morroway playlist, Morroway's version.
I have some songs on there that might be a little revealing for future plans. So I might not be able to do that.
Character playlist. Maybe you can all curate your own version of your character playlist and share them at the end.
Yeah, because I might share it. I might do that. I think that'll be fun because a lot of them are very vague reasons why I wouldn't, but I think I'm going to. But
I definitely made them based off vibes. Some of them are like pretty lyrically like, oh yeah, this is that character. That's that trope. But otherwise I was just like, it's all vibes. If this song makes me think of this character, it's going on.
Absolutely. And
I'm a musical person. I love music. I connect with lyrics.
Yes.
So that's like a part of my writing process.
Yeah.
For like writing the world of Beyond, I have a specific playlist.
Yeah, music moves me in a way that nothing else does. Like I feel the emotions. I cry daily thinking about these D&D characters. That's sad, but like I do. I cry on the daily thinking about either Morroway or my idea for next season. And I feel like the music really just gives it a way to express exactly kind of how these characters work. And it was such a brilliant idea of yours that for me really makes it so, and helps me get in the vibe, it helps me get in that headspace.
Music literally like changes your mood. It will activate parts of your brain that are connected to how you feel and your hormones and your emotions. So it's a very good like acting practice.
Yeah.
And improv practice is to have a mindset playlist because music does chemical things to your brain and your body.
Does. And it makes me so sad when people say they can't feel that emotion because it's like I have written so many characters to music. Like I've heard a piece of music and I've written an entire character off of it. Like Sabrina Carpenter's Please, Please, Please. I listened to that song and I was like, I want to be that girl that like is the accomplice to her boyfriend's crimes and is constantly getting him out of jail. Like just this Bonnie and Clyde.
You want that music video to be a whole
my
campaign.
D&D character, I was like, this is what I want to play. It's so because it's so fun, and I feel like it. It just kind of it inspires, and I feel like that's kind of what you gave all of us is this really amazing way to like find our inspiration for our characters.
I love that. To be fair, I didn't make those playlists until well into. I think we were already playing the campaign, weren't we? At least a few episodes.
I don't think so. I think we were in like episode 1 through 4, so it was like recorded. We were not live.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was inspired by you all. I just put a vibe to it. I made your players into a party playlist because I am, if anything, a party host.
If anyone's a fan of the show Ruby, the song "Friend" from one of the later seasons, that's Morroway's song about Bula. I sent that to Robin to be like, hey, I want you to understand Morroway's exact feelings. Listen to it. It'll be on the playlist. It's one of my favorite additions to it.
Oh, yeah. This must have been early because our Discord server that they got put into is called Dreet's Song Request, and Dreet is from our interviews, the auditions.
Yeah.
Dreet has not shown up in Dion. That was specifically an audition character. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, I'll share those in the fan group so that you can listen Immortal Ambitions and get in the mood.
Yeah, it'll give you a little, it could give you a little sense of our characters, a little bit of our vibe. I'm super excited.
I'm glad you like
Well,
it. I haven't even thought about this.
yeah, I listen to it daily. So it like it's had an impact on me.
Fantastic.
Um so that I think is gonna be it for today's tea time. If you would like to watch all of our other content, we do have all of our links down below. It's in a lovely little spot that says all of our links, uh, nicely labeled for you. Um, so we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.